All right, this is another video about some other concepts that I like to keep in my mind. One of the things which I have been kind of practicing is to express a few concepts and ideas and mental models in my own words, and when I'm applying it in my day-to-day life. So yeah, that's the attempt that I have. The first one is first principles thinking. So at the kind of core of first principle is to think any concept or any problem in its most basic and fundamental terms is about first principle. Second is about solving the symptoms and side effects rather than solving the root cause or the main problem. That's another thing which I like to keep um, in my approaches towards work and life. The third one is when you are doing something, the benefits should outweigh the cost, or it, in another way, should it does it worth the squeeze or not? Costs should outweigh the benefits or results. Third one is some problems needs to be divided before you can conquer them. Fourth one is sunk cost fallacy, which is about when you are invested in something in terms of time and effort, you avoid changing the direction because you have already invested a lot of time and effort in one direction, and changing the way will require you to throw away that work. So that's called sunk cost fallacy. And some of the things which we intuitively do or naturally do, but and commonly do, but they produce negative results, are called patterns. So for example, kind of analysis paralysis, we tend to analyze too much that we are not able to make progress, and we think it is worth doing it, but a lot of times it's producing negative results. So the second one is like when you are just copy pasting code, we think it is helping us be more productive, but we might be creating more bugs and more maintainability issues. Groupthink is another one where, just for the sake of social cohesion, people tend to agree with each other, or in a large group, when a lot of people have a point of view, it's very natural to just agree with the group, or not oppose the team or oppose the group for a better decision, and this usually ends up in suboptimal decision making. So this is called groupthink. Now a different concept. A brute force solution is about just investing a lot of time and effort to solve a problem rather than finding an efficient solution to a problem. So when you have to take an action immediately without thinking, or when you don't have too much of time to build a strategy to approach a problem, then you apply brute force method. You just put a lot of effort, and a heuristic is just a mental model and an imperfect way of solving something. Economies of scale means when you are trying to do things at scale where you can reduce the money, effort, resources that you need to invest to produce one unit of the product is less. Um, and then you can, it's much kind of cost effective to produce 1 million products rather than 10,000 products. When you reach that kind of unit economics, then you can say that you have reached economies of scale. And sometimes just reframing the problem helps. So for example, if you cannot eliminate something, you try to reduce it as much as you can, and that itself is a progress. And this concept of opportunity cost, where you if you're not doing something, if you're doing X, and then your opportunity cost is Y, which you did not do. So everything has an opportunity cost in product management and roadmap. And there is a point of negative return when you try to over optimize something. So that's called point of diminishing return. Yeah. And then, the famous 80-20 rule, Pareto principle. 80% of results come from 20% of effort. So I think that's an important concept as well. And my favorite one is correlation versus causation, where there are things which seem correlated, but they may not have a causal relationship. It's an important one. Biases are an important one. There's so many different biases, and just becoming aware of them really helps us make better decisions, or just stay a bit more logical and be more prudent in our decision making. You can have selection bias when you have originally selected a sample which is biased towards a certain kind of attribute or behavior. A selection bias, then sometimes non-response bias, where certain type of cohort or type of people have responded to your questions or survey, and just because you can only see the responses which are submitted, it means that you are not considering those people who have not submitted their response. So it's a response bias. And then recency bias, whatever has happened recently, because memory is not reliable way of making decisions. You tend to emphasis more on anything which has happened recently. And then proximity bias is that you tend to give more attention, or pay more attention, or be more influenced by people who are closer to you rather than people who are far. So that's called proximity bias. And then another thing is thinking in terms of bets by any duke. This is part of a strategy for life, that idea is to make high quality decisions consistently. It doesn't matter, or maybe it matters, but you build a framework, or you come up with a approach to make decisions in life, and then you keep executing it, and then you change it as well if you really want to. But the idea is that you improve the process of decision making. Sometimes you will fail, sometimes you will succeed, but have faith, and your expected payoff will be much higher if you will just keep at it. And these statistics concepts like mean, median, and mode is the most frequent use case. Mean is the average, and median is the point where you 50% of occurrences happen before that point, and 50% later. Variance and sigma both are ways of finding out how far all the numbers are from the average. That's a very good one. And law of large numbers is that when you have a larger sample set, then your average is much closer to the real average. And this idea of statistically significant result is also a pretty important one. If your sample size or your data is small, you just cannot can be confident that this will really provide you a predictable formula or a model. Yeah,